Good afternoon, viewers at home, friends and families, descendants of the great Benin Kingdom. Um, my name is Joe Osemudiame Mauli Orukwe, and we are here today to discuss some issues that have happened in a couple of days past. And I'm here with the president of the Benin Empire Advancement League in person of Mr. Dele Bello. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, our viewers. My greetings to everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is the Benin Empire Advancement League, the home of all the Benis, no matter where you reside in the whole world. So be a part of us and join us in this broadcast today. So
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. I want to use this opportunity to, invite our brothers and sisters who can trace their ancestry to the Great Benin Kingdom to, join this organization and be a part of what we're doing. Follow us on all our social media handles and subscribe to our YouTube page. And please share every of the content you think, are worth sharing. Share and also support what we do any way you can. Um, One of the things we do here is to talk about things that affect us directly as descendants of the great kingdom. We talk about things, subject matters like religion, culture, tradition, politics, and all whatnot, So I just want to use this opportunity to tell you all to, join us as we try as much as possible to, push our own agenda, an agenda for the return of the glory of the ancient Benin Kingdom.
Exactly.
Today, Mr. President, I was hoping we could talk about the issue of erosion in Edo State, And some few days ago, I was watching the independent television where there was a reportage on the erosion crisis in Edo State. And it was said that one young man, Isosa, a young boy, was swept away by the flood, and his dead body was later found. And it was quite devastating. The video, the pictures we saw was quite devastating. We saw his father, wailing and screaming and was inconsolable. And I felt it's one great topic we should talk about today. So I'll allow you take the first shot, sir. Over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, my condolence to those people, to the family of those people who lost their lives during this erosion period. Uh, as we all know, it's almost every year, every rainy season, we have this problem of erosion in Edo State. Not only in Edo State, almost all the states in Nigeria, apart from the northern part of the country where there's not so much rain. But the problem still remain every year the same, that once it rains, just 2 days, we have this erosion almost everywhere, washing away the the tide road and others, and killing innocent citizens. Yes, this year is a little is another capacity. Let me just put it this way, because when I look at the pictures or the videos I was watching a few days ago, it was devastating to see the father of this young boy weeping uh, because he was swept away by the erosion. You know, uh, most of our people they always they have a scapegoat for this situation, which is the government. But we as citizens also has a responsibility. We are also responsible for everything that is happening in our state today, not just the government alone. A few years ago, I just take a walk around Benin, look at the whole drainage, that was around Benin. So I didn't wonder that such a thing is happening in Benin, because almost all the drainage are filled with dustbins, with
Hmm.
waste, and nobody care to maintain their compound leading to the road, because there's so many ways you can stop erosion. It's not only just by drainage, but maintaining this drainage, because the government cannot do it alone. If you take waste out of your house and drop it into the drainage will not function the way it's supposed to function. That is why we are having all these problems. Anywhere you go in Benin today, you see all this mess. I believe the government is also doing a lot, but they need to do more. It's not just only constructing this drainage, but also educate our people the importance of this drainage, why they are constructing this drainage. Because most of our people are less educated when it comes to this area. This is where the government should have stepped in, going from community to community to educate them about this drainage, how to clean this drainage. Because during the Idiagbon season, we were having this environmental sanitation something, where the whole drainage we are clean I think every Saturday. Yes, I think every
Yes.
Saturday. Yes. Nobody go nowhere without cleaning your compound, without cleaning the drainage surrounding your compound. There was not so much erosion that period, and there was not so much drainage that period. Now we have almost drainage everywhere, but we are still in the same situation, even worse. So we need to start asking ourselves, are we doing the right thing? Because we are doing something wrong. So it's time to take a step back and think wise, to educate our people about drainage, telling our people not to be dropping their waste in the drainage, even in open space, because everywhere you go in Benin City is always waste everywhere, and it's a shameful thing that we just drop anything we are chewing, we just throw it on the ground, even though it's corn, anything orange, we just throw it on the ground, feel unconcerned, waiting for the government to be cleaning everything for us. And that is a very, very bad manner.
I would want to ask a question, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
Okay, based on the points that you have actually stated, would you do you think it would be wise if for instance, the Edo State government allows, or in partnership with the local governments, the various local governments that make up the local government councils in Edo State, do you think it would be wise if the state government and the local government partner probably form some kind of environmental sanitation corps that would go around and enforce strict compliance to the environmental laws? Do you think it would be wise?
Yes, that is a very, very important point. I believe everything is very, very important. Everything is wise, as far as not time wasting. Because anything that concerns our environment, we should take it very, very seriously, especially this erosion. I think it's very, very wise that the state government and the local government partner together, because the local government council, they have the opportunity going to village to village, from communities to community, which the state government cannot do. So this would have been a very wise idea, uh, partnering with these people, bring us some people to educate, and these people employ these people so that they can go from village to village to educate our people, from community to community, educate our elders, to let them know the importance of this drainage. to let them know that uh, maybe not planting trees in your compound also can also cause some erosion. These are things the government should have been encouraging our people to be doing. But it's like the government is lack of fund or something. I don't know why they can't do that. Because
Okay,
during the
I have another question, because I'm looking at this thing, trying to see if we can have a broader view, so that because I also believe that most of the things we talk about here, the government gets feedback, because I know a couple of the governor's media aides,
yes,
listen to some of the things we discuss, and sometimes, they discuss it, with the governor and all that. I'm also thinking, because I was thinking about the whole thing, and I felt there are two ways to it. If they set up an environmental sanitation corps,
yeah,
yeah, structuring this whole thing, the organization and all that would be cost, would kind of, incur some costs. And we have to look at the possibility of the government being able to fund, such an organization that would enforce, um, sanitation laws and help, reorientate the people and make sure the drainages are not choked and all
yes,
that. That's one. I'm also looking at the possibility of having the private sector come into this aspect. So we say, for instance, maybe every local government could have about four um, private sector partner in terms of well, maybe private sector partners who are mainly going to be focused on the cleaning and clearing of our drainages. So now the question is, would it be wise to actually give it to the private sector, knowing fully well that the private sector can run efficiently than the government's agencies, And if the government sees it as wise to actually hand it over to the private sector, now how would the private sector itself, who is going to be investing so much funds in terms of, machinery, electricity, and moving its huge trucks and all that, how would they make money? Because I'm looking at it, there are two ways to it. The government can tax the people from the local government level and use the proceeds to pay maybe some sort of sanitation tax. Okay, you guys, you are lazy, you are indisciplined, you do not want to clear your drainages. Okay, we are going to employ people to do the clearing, but you are going to pay for it. So some sort of sanitation tax. Then that money will be transferred to the private sector. Or would the private sector itself work out some sort of arrangement where, because if you remember, in time past, we used to have a situation where there are allocations to all these bin collectors. We used to have these private companies. For instance, in Lagos, where you have a company comes in, pack all your bins, throw it there, and they go compound to compound, and each compound pay. So is there a possibility that we could have such an arrangement too, where maybe a company can be assigned a local council development area, for instance, and the company knows that it's their responsibility to clear all the drainages and make sure the environment is clean. Then maybe every month the company goes from door to door and compound to compound, and each compound knows that they are supposed to pay a certain amount, because these are just the things that I'm actually just thinking in my head. What do you think would be best, in this kind of situation? Because from what I am hearing, the Edo State government doesn't really have so much money to spend, because they have commitments to loan repayments. Of course, loan repayments, that's also questionable, because we've not seen so much of what those loans have been used for. But again, the government is, trying to build structures, trying to finish abandoned projects, and at the same time trying to pay debts, fulfill its
yes.
loan obligations. So how do you think we can do all this to make sure, we have our drainages cleared? We are still coming to the stormwater projects. the Oshiomhole Stormwater Project. But I just
Yes.
wanted us to, look at these issues holistically. How do you think, which way do you think would be best? Government taxing the people, or the private sector, doing the thing and going from compound to compound, and having the people, pay on a monthly basis?
Yes, I would say both are very, very good ideas, but it depends on the execution.
Yes.
How do you execute the project? That is the biggest obstacle, because we have seen so many projects that came, and after 6 months, you don't hear about it again. To my own personal experience, uh, if I will choose, I would choose a private sector,
Okay.
which we also partner with the government in some ways, where the government will have control over this private sector. Because these people, they are not just only going to be responsible for cleaning the waste, but also be responsible punishing those people who doesn't obey these rules, the guidelines that is put forward or put on the ground for everyone. Like here, uh, or if you have a house in any community, somewhere like Jamaica, let me put for example, the government, they hire uh, private companies.
Okay.
You have a dustbin which is provided by the council. If you want a dustbin in your house, you go to the council, you collect this dustbin. It's a very small, there's one for plastic, there's one for papers, there's one for cartons, there's one for what they call bio waste, like salad and others.
Yeah.
You go there, they tell you how much you are going to be paying in a month, and also there you will receive the notice when these people are coming to be picking up this waste.
Yeah.
And all this waste will also be controlled, because you have to separate plastic from papers. You have to separate plastic from this bio waste. So all these things are
Excuse me.
also controlled. And anybody that violates these rules will also be punished. Why I said we should also, the government should also look at the way of partnering with private sectors, because we know all our government workers, the way they do their job. I'm not
Yeah.
saying they are not doing their job
Yeah.
good, but we know the way they do their job. But if you have a private sector who is going to be working for his money, where the government has a control over this private sector or private company, where the government will also go there to control if this private company is also doing their job very well
Yeah.
before they pay
Yeah.
them, I think everything will function. But the most important thing is education, educating our people to let them know this is how it will function. This is what we want. You know, help us to help you. It's
Yeah.
very simple, because you cannot we cannot just say okay, environmental sanitation, and people doesn't really know what to do. What is
Yeah.
environmental sanitation? It's like useless idea when people doesn't know
Yeah.
what they want. It's very, very important before we put everything on. We have a structure. This is what we want. This is what we want to do.
Yeah.
Call in some people, some expatriate. Allow them to work maybe just 1 month or 2 months to assess everything before we move on to say,
Hmm.
okay, now it's partner with private or we can do it alone. But I don't think the government can do it alone, because it's going to be a very, very difficult task. Because we can see in Oredo Council, when you
Yeah.
go to Ring Road where people are
Yeah.
cleaning, but when you go there in the afternoon, there's a lot of waste everywhere. You know, this because these people, they are not educated about throwing, even throwing waste on the ground. You know? That this also is costing the government money every day, because they have to employ somebody who is going to be picking all this waste from the ground, from the street. So we have to educate our people. The government have to provide so many things, like waste dustbin everywhere, where people can be throwing their waste without going kilometer long or even half a kilometer, because this is what the many people communities are doing, and they are very, very successful. But the government needs to educate our people about the cost, because it's not going to be very, very cheap. Because most of our communities, the road is so bad because all these waste collectors cannot even go in there. That is another problem. So these are the things the government should need to put into consideration. So that is my own view of the private sector. But the government, sorry.
Thank you. Sorry, sir.
Yeah. But I believe the government can do more, because they can reach out to council chairman and others very quickly than the private sector, to educate our people, to send out people to the villages or to the communities. That would be very, very important. So thank you. I need to drink some water because of my.
Thank you very much, sir. Sorry.
Thank you.
Viewers who are watching this our live broadcast right now, this is the Benin Empire Advancement League, and I am right here in the Alliance studio, the Beatbox TV studio, and the Bill Benin Empire Advancement League Alliance studio. This is a partnership between the Beatbox TV on radio and Bill Radio. I want to say just share our content on social media, subscribe to our YouTube page, comment, drop a comment and tell us what you want us to discuss. If there's a subject matter you think it's very important that we discuss on our show, please just send us a message. If there's an inquiry you want to make, kindly send us a message and we would find time to respond. What we're discussing today is actually the erosion and the havoc it's creating in Edo State. And we're trying to look at how we can find solutions to this existing problem that seem not to want to go away. It's been something that we've been battling for decades, and it's just seemed to be it's now becoming a rocket science when it comes to dealing with it, and it's quite disheartening that successive governments have not been able to find a lasting solution to the issue of erosion and storm water ravaging Edo State. Okay, Mr. President, there's I said we are going to talk about the stormwater project. Yes. Under the Oshiomhole-led government at that time, and we were told that the government acquired, procured some loan running into billions, and it was supposed to be for a stormwater project. And for 8 years, we didn't see anything. There were those who said he did a lot in terms of trying to start the project, and even started the project and all that, but we did not see the outcome, and we are kind of asking questions. Okay, we're still experiencing this whole problem, especially during the rainy season. Now we are asking, okay, why are Edos blaming Obaseki at this point, when we should actually be asking Oshiomhole to give account of his stewardship? Of course, government is a continuum, but at the same time, we have not heard from the Obaseki-led government in terms of what happened to the stormwater project, where the monies procured, the loan, was it judiciously used? by the Oshiomhole led government? And if yes, how far has the project gone? Because it seemed to me right now that nothing seemed to work when it comes to the stormwater project,
Yes.
and I have listened and I've read, I've watched, I've done a lot of research in the past few days, and I've realized that most of our Benin, Pan Edo groups on social media have all been pointing, accusing fingers, at Obaseki. And I keep wondering, is Obaseki supposed to be the scapegoat, or are we not supposed to actually be pointing, asking the right question, direct the question to Oshiomhole himself, even knowing fully well that now he's about running for Senate? Should we not ask him, yes, Mr. Ex-Governor, what did you do with the loan you collected for the stormwater project, and all that? What do you think, Mr. President?
Yeah, thank you very much for this question. Let me just put it this way. If this money was used very well, I think the
Yeah,
project should have been completed.
exactly.
So there's something our government, not just the state government, but the federal government, they have failed to do uh, ever since Nigeria was created, or ever since Edo State was created. Like my own experience, if uh, there's such a project like the water storm or whatever they call it, or the electricity
Yeah.
dam or whatever the government is doing, normally this will be brought to the parliament or to the House of Assembly or whatever. This
Yeah,
will be
House of
discussed.
Assembly.
Yes, people have to discuss about it. Uh, in some cases, they have to vote for it. Those who supported the project, they have to give their view why they supported this project. And those who didn't support the project have to give their view why they are not supporting that project.
Hmm.
And if you vote for the project and things didn't function, the, the law has to get you responsible
Mm-hmm.
because you have to stand question and answer in the House of Assembly because every assembly member has to ask you a question: how far is this project? Why is the project not going on? Because this is the problem we're having. We doesn't have such bodies.
Yeah, but Mr. President, you also let's not also forget that we always claim that there are three arms of government, which is the
Yeah,
legislature, the judiciary, and the executive. But we know, in reality, that the executive arm of government is more or less like the King Kong, the Alpha and Omega. You know,
yes,
there is no way the House of Assembly would question um, the executive, without having a face-off, because it is either they are going to be harassed with the police, the DSS, security agents, and having someone like Oshiomhole knowing fully well his character, his temperament. I'm just wondering because I do not think that any any member of the State House of Assembly at that time would question how the funds were used. Even now that is out of government, we are not seeing the State House of Assembly carrying out their responsibility, because
yes,
I know that for you to have acquired a loan, you probably must have to go to the State House of Assembly, and you must, tender some documents and give reasons why you want to acquire those loans. And,
exactly.
it's going to be approved, probably it's going to be also in the budget, the state budgets, include it in the expenditure of government. But he's been out of government for almost 8 years, and nobody's asking any question.
Yes, thank you for that question and for that lecture also. Let me just put it this way: why people are going against Obaseki? because Obaseki was also a member of this executive council that period. He knows the in and out of the project also. Although Oshomole was at the head or at the top
Yeah, as a governor.
as a governor, he should have bear the responsibility, or he should bear the responsibility. But Obaseki shouldn't be spared, or all the executive members have a case to answer. Because when if you give your child to somebody to watch over, and you come back, you only you want to collect your child back, you now only have maybe he lost his arm or he lost his leg. You have to ask a question:
Yeah.
what happened? How did they come to this situation? But this is what Obaseki is not doing. Because as long he cannot do that, people will be suspecting him that he's also part of this dubious project.
But don't you now think that if because I'm also looking at, knowing looking at how hostile a section of the Benin society is towards Obaseki. For instance,
Yeah.
the EPM, for instance, they've been going all around social media trying to paint the Obaseki-led government bad, bully the governor, spew all sort of so many misinformation, try to ridicule this governor. Don't you think? Because I'm also looking at it this way. Do you think, for instance, that if Obaseki decides to move, to okay, I'm going to make things right. I want to probe the Oshiomhole government.
Yes.
Don't you think that could also serve as a distraction?
Yet, yes, exactly. I have been watching all the comments from our brothers from Edo State, from PDP, APC, and whatsoever the party they are. We have seen in recent times how, I will not say hazardous, the whole issue is. Because Obaseki also made a mistake from time. His media representative
Yeah.
were so quiet as people were thinking Obaseki doesn't even exist. And this was the problem. It gives these other people, the opponent, the opportunity to be firing at him at all time. It's not that we are saying or people as like me are saying Obaseki is not working, because one person alone cannot do the whole job.
Yeah, that's true.
We have to support him. If the government is failing today, it's not that the government couldn't function because we didn't give him the support they needed. But something like this project we are talking about now, let's just focus on that project. Obaseki should have started, let me say, about 2 years ago to start probing this project. Because every year we have rainy season and this project is not completed. This project is abandoned. Now we take loan of billions, almost going to billion naira. This loan has to be serviced every month.
Yeah.
And at the end of the year, we are paying a huge amount of money for nothing. Why the project is abandoned. Even now, if we call Oshomhole to ask him, why is the project not functioning? It will really solve the situation. Because the time when we used to start discussing, probing, and doing all these sort of things, because we have to set up a panel to look at the whole thing. We have to be paying these people. The state has an auditor, or the auditor general, who is supposed to be looking at all these projects.
Exactly.
Is this project functioning? Why is this project taking a lot of money as budgeted? These are things the Obaseki should have done immediately he came to power. But he allowed that project to die down. It's like killing the project there. Just stop
Hmm.
it. You know?
Hmm.
And that should have not been the case. He should
Hmm.
have cried out and say, okay, the money is gone.
Hmm.
We don't know how we spend that money, but the money is no longer there. But the money is wasted. We are servicing the loan, and a lot of things is going on. For example, the erosion. The project should have helped a little bit to stop
Yes.
all this erosion. But people are losing their lives. We cannot blame all those people who are crying out to say, oh, this shouldn't have happened. This is where Obaseki owns the Edo State public, uh, an explanation,
Hmm.
because nobody's above the law. Even Oshomole is not above the law.
Hmm.
Buhari is not above the law.
Hmm.
It might look as if they are above the law, but Oshomole is no longer in power. I believe if the chief auditor of Edo State come out with a report today, which states Oshomole misused this money, I don't think he will be sleeping in his bed. We have seen governors arrested, former governors arrested. What did they call this Delta State governor before?
Ibori?
Ibori spent
Yeah.
he spent years in jail in the United Kingdom.
Well, you see, that's actually what I'm also looking at. The laws seem to work when it's in what we call sena climes, for instance.
Yes.
Because you find out that people like James Onanefe Ibori, people like Ali Amesia, they could they could get convictions. They were put to trial, they were put on trial, and they were convicted in less than a year, and they served jail terms. But that seemed to only work when it's abroad,
Yes.
because some few weeks ago, there was supposed to be an outcry, an uproar in Nigeria when the president, who claims to be fighting corruption, granted amnesty to two governors who were serving jail terms, who were actually convicted for embezzling state funds, and there's been a lot of governors. I mean, there are some governors who have been standing trial for the past 20 years. 20 years. I mean, the first 2 years of the Fourth Republic, I think that was about in 2000, and first time, the 1999 dispensation, the first time, we've seen a lot of those governors, they've been put on trial. They've not been convicted for over 20 years, and there seem to be the judiciary also seem to be helping a lot of these people, because we've seen cases where somebody stole, I mean, a bank executive looted the banks, bought properties in Dubai, and was denied bail for about 7 months. And when she got a conviction, she was actually allowed to go. Spent about a couple of weeks in detention, and she was let off the hook. But when you find people, you see people who steal mobile phones, they get 35 years in jail. Then you see people who have stolen billions, and they stand trial for the past. They've been standing trial for the past 20 years. So it seemed to me, that the judiciary seem to respect those who steal billions, and now if we put this, knowing how our judiciary has poorly functioned in the past 2 decades, do you think that if Obaseki has called for a probe, for instance, we would not have witnessed what Fashola did in Lagos? Would we not have witnessed what Fashola did, like going to court, to put an injunction, or going to court to say no, they cannot probe my tenure and all that? Because we had the Serap issue when Serap went to court using the Freedom of Information Bill, to kind of get information on how monies under Fashola were expended,
Yes.
during his term as governor. But we saw the governor himself rush to court to kind of block, that request. And I just feel the same thing could also happen now with Oshiomhole if Obaseki decides, to head to court.
Yes, the same thing might happen, but it might not also happen. Why?
Okay.
In the case of Nigeria, let me just put it that way.
Yeah.
Have people in let me say, who are supposed to be guiding our constitution, guiding
Yeah.
our be drawn into politics.
Yeah.
In the case of Oshomole, as I said before, we have the Auditor General.
Yeah.
Obaseki, His Excellency, the governor of Edo State, must not take Oshomole to court, but the chief auditor of the state can take Oshomole to court to explain to the general public how he spent that money.
Okay, well, I actually think that there are two ways to it. I think because I'm also thinking that the government can set up a panel of inquiry that has the same power as a high court, to look into the matter and, pass a verdict. I'm also thinking that the State House of Assembly can, set up some sort of committee or panel, to look into the whole thing, invite Oshiomhole and all that, have some sort of interrogation and all that. For the auditor, these are civil servants, and I've always learned from history never to trust the civil servants, because they are the ones who built the system that we operate in right now, and they built the system in such a way that the system operates the way they want it to operate, and they are actually the biggest beneficiaries of
Yes,
the proceeds from corruption. So I've always known that civil servants, public servants, for me, it's a no trusting them. So the auditor general of Edo State, I wouldn't even want the governor to even trust him at all.
yes,
But again, I feel something has to be done. But what can be done? I think it's the people, the Edo people, the Benins, that can actually take their destiny into their hands and storm the streets, block the State House of Assembly, block the government house, go to the courts, block the courts, and make their grievances known, and tell their representatives in the State House of Assembly that you guys are not going home until this whole issue is sorted out. We want to know what's happening, because I see so much anger, so much politics being played,
yes,
on social media, and even in mainstream media, where you have people coming to say, no, Obaseki is the governor now, he's in charge, forget about Oshiomhole. Oshiomhole is gone. And you have people say, no, okay, well, it's government is a continuum, and we really can't really say anything. Now, nobody has said whether the money is there or not. Nobody has come out to say, if nobody has come out to tell the people that yes, the money has been used and it's been used well. I mean, we don't even know the contractors that are handling this project. That is
exactly.
how bad it is. We don't
Yes,
know at what phase this project is in right now. That's how terrible the situation is. We do not have a ministry, a commissioner of information. We don't have a vibrant commissioner of information in Edo State who has come out to say, okay, people, this is what is going on. If not the aid of the governor, people like Sarah Igumbo, who is always on social media, and Esosa Ewere, and a couple of other people, Apostle, Inosa or so, and a
yes,
couple of other people. These are people who are not, they are not, they don't have the responsibility. It's not their responsibility to actually come out to take the role of the information commissioner of information, but they are the ones speaking. The communication of information seem not to even exist, and so it's even difficult to get certain informations in the states, as regards this stormwater project, because I think the Edo people themselves do not want to move beyond complaining on social media. Because if we had wanted to move beyond complaining on social media, by now we would have seen mass action.
Exactly.
But there's no mass action. It seemed to be a war between the bitter losers from PDP who have decamped to APC, who now feel that the governor, shouldn't have won the election. I call them bitter losers from the camp of Pastor Izenyamu. Then we seem to have another set of people in PDP who think, okay, we've held on to this party for a long time before the governor came, and he wants to kick us out, and we are going to act as spoilers, and the governor's camp. So you find out that the governor is actually fighting the bitter losers who migrated from PDP to APC and his own party. Certain people, I think the vice chairman national from South, Dan Obi, and his group, with some structures in PDP Edo State, and so there's so much distraction. So even if these camps are saying anything factual, you don't even know, because everything seems to be laced with bitter politicking, and we don't even know when they are saying the truth, because they seem to have politicized every aspect of governance in Edo State, and I think the commissioner of information would have been the best person to have engaged the citizens, on behalf of governments. But he's not doing that. He seemed not to even exist, and I think that's a serious situation that the state is faced with right now, because the rainy season is going to come and go.
Yes.
Now, what happens after this season? Do we now go back to life as usual?
Normal life.
Then the next rainy season, flood comes, sweeps people away, people get killed, and we start lamenting again, because it seemed to be a yearly ritual now, and for me, I really do not really understand the situation. But what do you think the governor could do in terms of getting right information, right and timely information out to the people as regards the issues of erosion, stormwater project, and every other project he has embarked on as governor? What do you think?
Okay, let me just put this first. The governor is in a difficult situation. Why? Because he was part of the old government.
Yeah.
Anything the governors will say today will be used against him. Just as this stormwater project.
Yeah.
But before I go deep into that, because you said something before that these are auditor generals, they are civil servants employed by the government. I want to bring something forward for the government to check about it. Because in so many countries in the world today, the auditor general are also elected by the people, not
Yeah.
appointed by the government. The Edo State government should look into that. People will contest. The Edo people have to choose who they want to be their auditor general. Because this is the situation we are having in so many other countries. Because if the government appoint an auditor general, you will know that the auditor general is ally to those parties.
Yeah.
But if the auditor general doesn't have anything to do with any party or any government that is
In place.
I think the government will think twice before they do anything they want to do about the project. The real problem we are really facing, the government come up with a project. Normally, in a civilized world, if you are going to do a project, there are people in the auditor session
Yeah.
who will sit down to look at this project. Is this project going to function the way the government is propagating? They will look at it. They will
Hmm.
even look at the financial aspect of it. Will
Hmm.
this money be enough to execute this project?
Hmm.
Or is this money too much to execute this project? But we doesn't have such bodies in our government. Because let me just use this place as an example. The government may be having any project they want to do today.
Hmm.
Without this body sanctioning that project is not going to happen.
Hmm.
Because they will not just calculate the effect of only 1 year, but they are going to calculate the effect of the next 50 years.
Hmm.
Because this loan, most of them are signed for 20 years, 30 years. We are going to be servicing this loan. Does it worth it that we'll be servicing this loan with this project?
Hmm.
People have to
Hmm.
think about it. That is what we are not doing. When somebody came up with a project, everybody will be shouting, hey, it's doing something, doing something. But we doesn't look at the impact of all this project. When Oshomole started this water storm project, all of them were jubilating. But today we all are crying, where's the money?
Hmm.
At the forefront, we should have looked at this project very, very wisely to look at it. Can we afford this project?
Hmm.
Is there any alternative to those projects?
Hmm.
Or can we get a cheaper alternative to that
Hmm.
project?
Hmm.
These are the things we should have been looking at, but we doesn't look at that. And every governor or every executive member should be held responsible for their failure.
Hmm.
Because you mentioned something that all these people go to jail for 1 year and they will be free and they go home.
Hmm.
In the Western world, or if you go to the Middle East, if you embezzle any money, you go to jail. That doesn't mean you mustn't pay that money back. You have to pay that money back. That prison punishment is just for the crime.
Hmm.
But the money you embezzled have to be returned
Hmm.
because it's not your money. You have to even pay it double
Hmm.
because the government has to look at the assets you are getting money and they have to seize the assets. See, that money is being paid. They only give you a little amount just to be existing. This is what our government is supposed to be doing. These are things our government should put into place. But we are not doing that. We just think all these politicians are powerful, but they are just human beings like us. These are things we should be doing. And the police force or the law enforcement agency, these are the second problem. How will a police commissioner allow themselves to be used by a governor or by a commissioner or by a local government chairman to go and arrest somebody
Hmm.
just because he said something about him? These are the things, because these are things we're supposed to be thinking and talking about. Because we have to start from one place. Okay, like the governor, as I said before, it's a very, very difficult situation because he supported that project.
Yeah.
And I believe he was also one of the person that was looking over that project or watching over that project that very period. So I think he owns the Edo people a very good explanation.
Yeah.
He can do that via broadcasting or live broadcasting or whatever he wants to do. And the second problem, all these our leaders, they want to be at the forefront, even in the media sector and others. Because I believe the Edo governor has so many resources to spread out information. You know? So I believe maybe he has something to hide. Or we cannot say that. Nobody knows. Because in the court of law, you are only guilty when you are found guilty. And even though you are found guilty, it doesn't mean you are really guilty. So we have to be very, very, uh, let me say, cautious of what we are saying and what we are, uh, let me just put it that way, what we are accusing people of doing. Because there are many people out there who want to destroy that name. And there are people there who present themselves as friends who are also his enemy. So there's a lot going on there because we know how dirty Nigeria politics is.
Yeah.
Those who gave me money today is my friend, is my political partner. And when there's no money tomorrow, that person is a bad person. Anyway, he's not doing anything. He's not doing his job. Because if you follow up what is going on social media, you will see that the Edo people, Edo State people, they're only ranting. Because nobody went out there to the government house or to court to say, okay, I'm suing Obaseki or suing the governor for his wrongdoing. Because by doing that, you have to present evidence.
Yeah.
And without evidence, hardly you can sue anybody. Because fake allegation is also a crime. This is what we all should know. We all should know. So it's like the Edo people need something. We have to. There are so many ways we can do this. We have to, like, there's online something, or there's local government or state government where you have to ask the people. It's a sort of voting. Going from community to community, the people can go to government house to vote, go to the council to vote. Do we have to probe this project, or we don't want to probe this project? People can go in there to vote. The majority has the vote. This is what they do here also. And something like this Waterstone project, this is what should have been done in the first case, to see how many people who supported this project. By supporting that project, it's like you are giving the government the power to do whatever they want to do. And if they don't give them the power to do it, they can't do anything. There's a lot of reform. Let me put it structure. We have to do in our government that will make our government functioning. Because it's not only our government that is corrupt in the whole world. I believe the whole government in the whole world, even the dictators, they are also corrupt. But the control body of the government, of the nation, is very, very important. This is the key. Cutting the corruption very short. Because in Nigeria, we doesn't have any control body who really control who is giving something out, who is not giving anything out, who is completing their project, who is not completing their project, who did their project in a good way, who didn't do their project in a bad way, So because some of the road that's been completed, after 2 months, you see the road again is all over. So these are the things our government should be putting into consideration. Because if we want to have a good government, we have to be doing that.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you too.
We have run out of time today. It's exactly 1 hour we've spent on the show today. I just want to use this opportunity to invite our friends and families, brothers and sisters, descendants of the great Benin Empire, who want to be a part of what we're doing. Could join our organization by sending us a message, and we'll add you to our WhatsApp group. We have a WhatsApp group where we socialize and communicate with each other. You could also like our Facebook page, like our social media handles, subscribe to our YouTube page, and pass comments on any of the content you feel it's interesting. And if you also have a subject matter or something you want us to discuss, just send a message to us and we would respond in due time. I want to say thank you all for being a part of our broadcast today. And hopefully, we will join you guys again over the weekend to discuss on some other very important matters. Please stay safe and make sure you be a responsible citizen. Mr. President, I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you.
um, I hope we are able to continue from where we stopped over the weekend so that we can, you know, discuss some other very important issues. Till weekend, hopefully Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
I still remain Joe Osemudiame Maoli Orupe, and I'm here with, I was here all through with Mr. Dele Bello, the president of the Benin Empire Advancement League. Thank you, Mr. President,
Thank
for
you
joining
too.
us. Thank you, everyone. So till weekend then. Have
Okay.
a
So
wonderful day.
thank you, and we wish all our viewers a great day and a great evening. So
Yeah.
thank you. Stay healthy and join us next time. Thank
All
you.
right.
God bless you
Thank
all.
you. All right. Bye.